So Cole Anthony of North Carolina has not technically committed to the NBA draft just yet, but it seems like he's going to. So I figure why not talk about him. Can he be a franchise point guard? Listed at 6'3", 190. Certainly shows up when he's out there. He's not big, but he's also not like miniature out there as well, which I think matters. I mean, sometimes we can look at guards' heights and we think, oh, the guy's kind of short or whatever, but then you see him matched up against other guards and suddenly it's like not as big of a deal. So I don't think he's going to get overwhelmed physically by point guards. I mean, maybe like Kyle Lowry, but Lowry overwhelms centers half the time. So I don't think Anthony's going to have a lot of trouble there. What I do potentially fear with him, though, is his scoring ability, trying to score against bigs and get into the teeth of the defense in the NBA and stuff. Like, is he going to be able to do that when he's got bigger dudes switched onto him? He's pretty shifty. He's got a good handle. His jumper, there's some things to be said about the jumper. Sometimes it looks great, sometimes it doesn't. So I guess, guys will probably dare him to shoot, and we'll see what happens from there. But I just want to know if he's going to be able to consistently get into the defense and beat defenders and then finish through all that contact and stuff. Because there are definitely times where he's on a fast break and he just finds a way to get through college defenders, and I just want to know if that's going to go to the next level. I mean, I think with a guy like Anthony Edwards, it's a little easier to project that just because Edwards is a tank. He's like 6'5", 220 or whatever he is. Again, listed 6'3", 190, so it's just going to be a little tougher. Now, he can get up there. The guy's got at least some stuff you can see of him dunking on YouTube. I can't find a lot of dunks like in games like that, but that can certainly help. I mean, if you're one of those guys who, like, you can beat your defender, but then you're going to get blocked a lot at the rim, that's, you're not really accomplishing much. But it seems like with him, if he can get by that initial defense and he can get to the paint, I think he's got enough verticality to draw some contact and things like that. He also just doesn't seem afraid of going inside, which I think certainly matters when you got a guy of his size. So I think that's the hope with Anthony, is that he's just kind of relentless as an offensive player and he's constantly attacking. And one thing to be said, at North Carolina, the spacing and stuff around him was not great. He had two bigs. He had not a lot of shooting around him. So in the NBA, when the floor is going to be open up for him a bit more, and we'd have to see what team he'd end up on, that would hopefully help him out a lot. But I do want to talk about the shot, because I think the shooting, for him, maybe a little more than other guys I've talked about so far, it's going to be really important. Because, like with LaMelo, I know LaMelo's an awesome passer. I think he can be a good defender because of his size, even if he hasn't been so far. And whatever else, but mainly the size is the big thing, right? Same thing with Anthony Edwards, as I've mentioned. Cole Anthony, not really the case. The dude is not going to be bigger than a lot of guys, even if he's not the smallest dude every night either. So I think he's going to have to be able to force defenses to step out on him on those screens, and then he can, use that to potentially get by some guys, or teams are going to have to be forced to switch onto him if his jump shot is really threatening. And up to this point, well, I don't know. There are times when he hits a pull-up three and it looks pretty good. Times it's a contested three, it looks good. He goes up with it without much hesitation. There are other times when his three-point percentages look a little rough. So I don't totally know what to make of that. I mean, his free throw percentage is good. His three-point percentage overall is solid, like 35% on 6 a game in college in 22 games, which not a huge sample size, but we only have what we have. So it's like, okay, there could be something there. A lot of this is just going to come down to who ends up selecting wherever they're selecting, and because the lottery is so open now, it's all a little more interesting. I mean, if we look at the lottery teams, would the Cavs want him? I mean, I guess it would depend on if they were committed to really seeing the Garland and Sexton thing through. Sexton has been better than Garland up to this point. I don't know if Cole Anthony and Trae Young makes sense. I mean, Trae Young and LaMelo you could talk me into if LaMelo's going to play defense. But even if Cole Anthony is like a solid defender, and he does care about that side of the floor, that's a really small backcourt, The Pistons, okay, that could be kind of interesting. Cole Anthony, being, in a way they could hope for him to be effectively the new Chauncey Billups, just that steady guy who can make shots. And Cole Anthony, similar to Billups actually, he's not a natural playmaker. Like, he can make passes, but that's not his main thing. So that might be a process for him to catch up on that stuff. But if he's going to be a threatening shooter, then, you can average 5 assists a game. It's totally fine as far as I'm concerned, assuming you're not like a super ball hog. And even then, if you keep making them in, who really cares? The Knicks, they certainly need a point guard. Would the Bulls do it? I don't know. I feel like Cole Anthony and Kobe White, they're not totally the same player. Like, I think Kobe White is more of a three-point shooter, whereas Cole Anthony is a little more of an all-around offensive guy. But I don't know if you could have him as in Anthony, and LaVine, and Kobe White all there. I feel like it's just too many guys who kind of want to do the same thing at similar positions, The Hornets, Devontae and Rozier there already. I mean, I guess if you think Anthony's just that good. But I guess for the Eastern Conference lottery teams, I think the Pistons would be the most interesting for Cole Anthony. All of these teams have their picks, right? I'm assuming they do. If we go to the West, would the Warriors want him? I think they would just be all in on Wiseman or some bigger wing. The T-Wolves, Anthony and D'Angelo Russell, with Malik Beasley there, probably not. I still don't really know what the Suns want to do. I mean, you can make a case that they need something kind of everywhere, so I don't know. The Spurs, that could be interesting. The Kings, you're talking about De'Aaron Fox. You're talking about, putting another guard who wants to score in there. I mean, Fox is more of a playmaker than anybody else in that mix, but, Fox still shoots quite a few a game. And then between the Pelicans and the Blazers, I don't really know. So for me, I guess it would be the Knicks and the Pistons would be the two teams that I think could be the seamless fits for Anthony, but that doesn't mean those are the only two teams that would work on. And I guess Cleveland as well, if they just didn't want to do the whole Garland experiment anymore. And that could be interesting if he became available. Oh, I think I missed the Wizards in that whole thing. Well, they already have John Wall whenever he's eventually back, so maybe not. Don't know. So that's what I got on Cole Anthony. I think the ceiling for him, if his jumper really takes off, Kemba Walker world of player, I guess. Maybe similar things to what Devontae Graham is doing this year for the Hornets. If he perhaps can't beat defenders as much, or his jumper never really comes around, or whatever, I guess there is a fear he could be like Reggie Jackson, just a guy who gives you some points and his efficiency is not the best, because his efficiency has not been good in college. Maybe that's shot selection, whatever else. So that's the fear with him, that he's just not going to be that efficient of a player. But I think there's reason to believe Cole Anthony can be all right, but there's reason to be perhaps a little skeptical. Again, it's tough because we just didn't see these guys in a lot of games this year in college, but yeah, that's what I got.